all connected. It sounds crazy, right?
Pretty wild idea.
But that's what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
This brand new theory that's, well, it's turning the world of physics upside down.
Uh-huh.
And we've got the perfect source for our deep dive, a scientific paper called, get this, Black Holes and Higgs Dark Energy.
Freshly submitted to the Journal of Cosmology and Astroparticle Physics.
Just this month. We're talking cutting-edge stuff here, folks.
Definitely cutting edge.
So strap in, because we're about to tackle some pretty big questions. Could black holes actually be the source of dark energy?
The very force that's making the universe expand faster and faster.
And what role does the Higgs field, the thing that gives particles mass, play in all of this?
It's a fascinating paper that starts by letting out these three big discoveries: black holes, dark energy, and the Higgs field.
Three big mysteries, really. But the researchers are suggesting they're all linked.
Yeah, they're saying it's not just a coincidence.
Okay, so we've got black holes, dark energy, Higgs field. How do they even fit together? I mean, they seem like totally different things.
Let's do a quick recap just so everyone's on the same page. Black holes, those are regions of space-time where gravity is so strong, absolutely nothing, not even light, can escape.
Right, those cosmic vacuum cleaners.
Exactly, and they form when massive stars collapse at the end of their lives. Then we've got dark energy. It's this mysterious force. We don't know exactly what it is, but it's pushing everything in the universe apart.
We know it's there, but we don't know what it's made of.
Right. And then there's the Higgs field. This is a field that permeates all of space, and it's what gives particles their mass.
So, like, the more a particle interacts with this Higgs field, the heavier it gets.
Precisely. Think of it like a cosmic syrup. The more a particle interacts with it, the more massive it becomes.
Got it. Collapsed stars, a mysterious force pushing the universe apart, and a cosmic syrup giving things mass. Okay, but what's this paper saying about them? How are they connected?
Well, recent data suggests that dark energy may not be constant like we once thought.
Wait, really?
It actually seems to be evolving over time.
Evolving, so it's not just some fixed, unchanging force in the background. That's wild.
Right. And what's even stranger is it appears to evolve in a way that's connected to the formation of stars.
Hold on, evolving dark energy. So it's not just some unchanging force in the background. That changes everything.
It definitely challenges the standard model of cosmology, which is our current understanding of how the universe works. But here's where it gets really interesting. The researchers propose that black holes, specifically they call them cosmologically coupled black holes, or CCBHs, act as what they're calling Higgs compact objects.
Higgs compact objects, that's a mouthful.
I know, right? But essentially, these CCBHs, they trap dark energy inside them.
So these black holes, the things we thought just sucked everything in, they might actually be the source of the force pushing the universe apart.
That's the core of their hypothesis, yeah.
That's incredible, but how does that even work? How does the Higgs field, something we usually associate with tiny particles, get involved in black hole formation?
Well, the paper actually dives into the nitty-gritty of black hole formation. So picture this. You've got a massive star collapsing in on itself under its own gravity. At the core of this collapsing star, things get so dense and hot that it forms something called a quark-gluon plasma.
A what? A quark-gluon plasma?
Yeah, it's a state of matter so extreme that it only existed in the very early universe.
Like right after the Big Bang.
Exactly. So it's if you're recreating the Big Bang in a tiny space.
Whoa, okay, that's intense. So then what happened?
As this core continues to collapse, it undergoes something called an electroweak phase transition. And that's where the Higgs field comes in.
Okay, phase transitions. I vaguely remember that from high school physics. It's like when water boils or freezes, right? But what's so special about this electroweak phase transition?
It's like a change of state, but in this case, above a certain temperature, the Higgs field is basically off. It doesn't give particles mass. But during this electroweak phase transition, as the core cools down, the Higgs field suddenly switches on.
So it's like flipping a cosmic switch.
Exactly, and at that moment, particles like the W and Z bosons, they gain their mass.
So these particles are just cruising along, massless, and then, bam, Higgs field turns on, and suddenly they have mass.
That's it. And that process, that switching on of the Higgs field, releases a tremendous amount of energy.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like a huge energy burst when the Higgs field kicks in. But how does that energy become dark energy?
The paper argues that this released energy, what they call Higgs potential energy, is the source of dark energy. And because the gravity of the forming black hole is so intense, this Higgs energy gets trapped inside.
Hold on, let me get this straight. They're saying the energy released when the Higgs field switches on during this phase transition, that becomes dark energy. And this all happens inside a star that's collapsing into a black hole.
Precisely. And because this dark energy is trapped within the black hole, These black holes become what the researchers call Higgs compact objects, or HCOs.
HCO, so they're not just any black hole, they're like dark energy storage tanks powered by the Higgs field.
That's one way to think about it, yeah.
Okay, so that's their theory, but how did they test this? Did they actually create a black hole in a lab and measure dark energy coming out of it?
Haha, no, nothing like that. They used a mathematical model, the Oppenheimer-Snyder model, which is a way to study how a star collapses into a black hole.
So it's like a simulation on a computer.
Exactly. They basically ran simulations of a star collapsing, but they incorporated the Higgs field into their model to see what would happen.
So like a virtual black hole experiment. Cool. And what did they find?
Their model predicted that at the start of the collapse, the ratio of regular matter to dark energy coming from the Higgs field is 2-to-1.
2-to-1. So even before the black hole forms, a huge chunk of the star's core is already made up of this Higgs dark energy.
That's right. And get this. The model predicts that the collapse itself happens incredibly fast, in just 57 microseconds.
57 microseconds. That's like blink and you miss it fast.
It is. And here's the big one. The researchers calculated that if these black holes are cosmologically coupled, meaning their mass grows as the universe expands, then the amount of Higgs energy smapped inside them could actually account for all the dark energy we observe in the universe.
Wait, you're saying black holes, the things we thought just sucked everything in, might actually be responsible for pushing the universe apart?
That's what this research suggests.
Wow. It completely changes how we think about black holes. They're not just cosmic vacuum cleaners. Well, they could be the engines driving the expansion of the universe. That's huge.
It is, and it all comes down to this potential connection between black holes, dark energy, and the Higgs field.
So we're talking about black holes potentially being the source of dark energy. It's a lot to wrap your head around. What are some of the biggest things you think our listeners should be focusing on?
I think one of the most important things to remember is that this research suggests black holes might be a lot more complex than we originally thought. They're not just passively swallowing up everything that comes near them.
The active players in the universe.
Right, they could be shaping the way the universe evolves.
It's like instead of just being these endpoints, they're these dynamic energy sources that affect the entire universe. But what were some of the other details in the paper that really stood out to you?
Well, the connection between the Higgs field and the large-scale structure of the universe, that really struck me.
Yeah.
Usually we think about the Higgs field in terms of tiny particles. But this research suggests it could be connected to something as massive and influential as dark energy.
It's like connecting the tiny world of particle physics to the vastness of the universe. It really makes you wonder what other connections are out there that we haven't even considered yet.
It's amazing, right? And then there's the idea that dark energy might not be constant.
Oh, right.
It might actually be evolving along with these black holes. And that really changes how we think about cosmology.
It's a big deal, yeah. If dark energy isn't constant, well, a lot of what we thought we knew about the universe might need to be revised. But the paper doesn't just stop at presenting these ideas, does it? They did some pretty intense calculations and modeling. What can you tell us about their findings?
Well, they use something called the Oppenheimer-Snyder model to study this.
The Oppenheimer-Snyder model.
It's basically a way to describe how a star collapses into a black hole. And they used this model to run simulations, but they added the Higgs field into the mix to see what would happen.
So they're basically recreating, like, the conditions inside a collapsing star, but on a computer.
Exactly. It's pretty incredible. And they came up with some fascinating findings.
Okay, like what? Give us the highlights.
Well, one of their predictions was that at the beginning of this collapse, the ratio of regular matter to dark energy coming from the Higgs field is, get this, 2-to-1.
2-to-1. So even before a black hole forms, a huge part of that star's core is already made up of this Higgs dark energy.
That's right. And another thing they found was that, according to their model, the collapse itself happens ridiculously fast. We're talking just 57 microseconds.
57 microseconds? That's like, it's practically instant. It's amazing that we can use these models to study stuff that happens so fast and on such a massive scale.
Absolutely. And the last thing I want to mention is they also calculated that if these black holes have what they call cosmological coupling, meaning their mass grows as the universe expands, then the amount of Higgs energy trapped inside them, well, it could actually explain all the dark energy we see in the universe.
Wait, so you're saying that these black holes, with their trapped Higgs energy, could be the source of the force that's pushing the entire universe apart?
That's exactly what this research is suggesting.
That's a game changer. So what happens next? We have this one study, but it seems like it opens up more questions than it answers.
Well, yeah, you're right. It's really just the beginning. There's a lot more research that needs to be done to back up these findings and explore all the implications.
Like what? What are the biggest questions that need to be answered? What are the next steps?
Well, we need to understand exactly how this cosmological coupling works. Like, how does the mass of a black hole grow in sync with the expansion of the universe.
Yeah, it's like these black holes are somehow tuned in to what's happening on a universal scale. And what about the trapped Higgs energy inside the black hole? How does that affect the expansion?
Right, that's another big question. The model used in this paper is just a simplified version of a very complex process. So we need more sophisticated models to really figure out how gravity, dark energy, and the Higgs field are all working together inside these Higgs compact objects.
It sounds like we have this really intriguing theory, and it's supported by these calculations, but there's still so much more to learn about how all the pieces fit together.
Exactly. There's so much more to discover about black holes, dark energy, and the Higgs field.
It's exciting to think about all the possibilities.
It definitely is. This paper has opened up a whole new way of understanding the universe.
So before we wrap up this section, what's one mind-blowing takeaway you think our listeners should walk away with?
If this research is right, it means that those things we used to think of as cosmic dead ends, black holes, could be the actual engines that drive the universe's expansion.
It's like they could be the ultimate creators instead of destroyers.
It's a really profound thought, and it's backed up by some really solid science.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? All this talk about black holes and dark energy, and now we're throwing the Higgs field into the mix. It's a whole new way of looking at the universe.
It definitely changes things. I mean, we always thought of black holes as these destructive forces, but
Now
now,
they could be the creators.
yeah, the engines behind the expansion of the universe.
So, as we wrap up our deep dives into this mind-blowing research, is there a single takeaway message that really stands out to you? Something you want our listeners to ponder as they go about their day?
I think the most important thing to remember is this. If these black holes really are these Higgs compact objects, these HCOs, well, it means the places where gravity is the strongest.
The points of ultimate collapse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those might also be the places where dark energy is the most concentrated.
So the places where everything seems to be pulled in are also the sources of the force pushing everything apart. It's almost like a cosmic paradox.
It is, and it just shows how interconnected everything in the universe is. Black holes, dark energy, the Higgs field, they're all linked in ways we never imagined.
It's like the universe is playing a giant game of tug-of-war with itself. And the rope is made of dark energy woven from the Higgs field, and it's all happening inside a black hole.
It's a pretty amazing image, isn't it?
It is, and it's a reminder that we're just scratching the surface of understanding how all of this works.
Exactly. There's still so much we don't know about the universe and the forces that shake it. But that's what makes science so exciting, right? There's always something new to discover.
Absolutely. Well, this deep dive has been incredible. I don't know about you, but my mind is officially blown.
Mine too.
To all our deep divers out there, keep those minds open and keep asking those big questions, because who knows, you might be the one to finally crack the code of dark energy or unlock the secrets of the Higgs field. Until next time, keep exploring the depths of the universe.